Hello everybody, Scan here at GLHF and welcome to part 2 of the Street Fighter 6 intro guide. In this episode, we're specifically going to be taking a deeper dive into Drive Rush, both of its forms, how to best utilize it, and how it compares exactly with some mechanics in older Street Fighter titles. While the drive system grants you access to many abilities in Street Fighter 6, none of them may be quite as core to your overall offensive strategies as Drive Rush. Drive Rush has two different versions, as we highlighted in the previous part of this series, one that can be cancelled into out of a parry, and the other which can be cancelled out of any normal cancelable move in the game. Longtime Street Fighter players probably recognize a lot of similarities between this Drive Rush and a Focus Attack Dash Cancel, aka an FADC, from the Street Fighter 4 series, and there are a lot of similarities between the two. They both cost half of your meter to perform mid-combo, they both allow you to continue a combo that otherwise would end at that point, and technically both of them can be performed in neutral for less cost by holding down medium punch and medium kick in both games. So yeah, there's a lot of similarities between the two, but there's a lot of differences as well. Alright, enough talking about Street Fighter 4, we're here to learn about Street Fighter 6, right? The main way that you are going to be using Drive Rush in Street Fighter 6 is by dashing right after you hit an opponent with a cancelable normal move. Not a special move in this game, only cancelable normals. So your options for what you can dash out of are pretty robust, but still slightly more limited than compared to the FADC of Street Fighter 4. I know, I said I was done talking about Street Fighter 4, sorry. Any move that you would be able to special cancel out of, you can dash cancel out of any of these moves to potentially extend your combo, or if you're just trying to apply pressure to your opponent while they are in block stun, force them into a state where they need to guess what your next move is going to be after this dash. This kind of offensive pressure on a defensive opponent is a really big part of the usage of Drive Rush, and is going to be terrifying to face against characters with command throws in particular. So you've hit your opponent with a move and canceled into Drive Rush. What next? What is available to you? Well, if you've actually hit the opponent, the obvious answer is extend your combo. This is relatively straightforward, and you just need to figure out with your character in particular which buttons and which combo strings work best after a Drive Rush. This will take some time, this will take some experimentation, but this usually ends up being something as simple as a crouching heavy punch, a standing heavy punch, a crouching medium kick, many of the moves I was talking about earlier that you could Drive Rush out of to begin with. But let's say you were pressuring an opponent who's blocking. What does this mean now? Well, when you're in the middle of your dash during a Drive Rush, you can cancel this into any of your available moves. This includes your character's available overheads. So what this means is you have now put your opponent into a situation where they either have to guess that you're going to go for an overhead, possibly go for a low that could cancel into some special moves, or even potentially a special into a super move, or maybe you're going to throw them instead. Does your opponent have to use meter to try to do an invincible reversal to make sure none of these things would hit? Does your character have a command grab? Can you use this command grab to now dash in, and while your opponent is still blocking, force them to now eat a free throw? There's many opportunities available to you, which is why this is such a costly but very useful offensive tool in Street Fighter 6. But what about that one bar Drive Rush, the one you can do while holding parry? What is this useful for? Well, this is still technically a combo extender. It just doesn't cost you 3 bars, at least in terms of the initial Drive Rush. A lot of overdrive moves in Street Fighter 6 will leave your opponent bouncing off the ground. Let's use Marisa for an example here. After her big overhead here, you can see that the opponent clearly bounces. This is a special state within which your opponent can still be hit. The combo can still continue, but you are usually too far away to be able to capitalize on it. So, during this EX move, during this overdrive, I am holding down parry until the moment the animation of the special move finishes, and then tapping dash forward. And by doing this, I can now extend my combo in a separate way than just canceling out of a normal with a dash, which would cost me 3 bars of my drive meter instead. I will say this form of drive rush is a bit more difficult to get consistently. If you are looking to practice your drive rush combos, I would suggest starting by using the 3-bar mid-combo normal cancel versions, and then wait until after you've gotten used to those to start learning how you could dash after overdrive ground bounces, or the many other situations that you will slowly learn as you use your characters in this game that this dash is useful out of. The very last thing that I want to talk about before we wrap up for this edition is the additional properties added to some normals after a drive rush. You may have noticed earlier in this video that I was able to link out of Ryu's overhead after a drive rush. You are at a greater advantage hitting a normal out of a drive rush than that normal would usually give you. This means, for example, with Ryu, I can combo after his overhead, which is normally impossible. This is one of the main uses of 1 meter drive rushes, these advantageous properties put onto normals. Again, I'm not going to dive deep into these here in this video. There is a lot of experimentation, a lot of trial and error that has to be put into figuring this out. But this is going to be one of the main things you see 1-bar drive rushes used for. I know that's a lot to dig into, there's a lot that's been presented in this video, but practicing drive rushes, both of their main forms, is going to be key to mastering Street Fighter 6 and holding your own in online matches. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you're enjoying the series so far, and enjoy playing Street Fighter 6.